Okay, so that if you have any question, please raise your hand. I mute everybody. Okay, praise the Lord. So again, I might have a one more class, extra class on the Monday to cover. This is a very important issues. How that the we see. I mean, let's find out what is God and how God works. This is a very important. Brother Wesonga, you have a question? Brother Jonathan Wasonga. Okay. You can email me or you can text me the chat. Okay. Now the post Reformation condition in Europe. Although the church finally agreed the peace between Reformed Church and Roman Catholics, still the tension remains. And then they compete. Actually, they compete each other. Yeah. Development in France. Gallican problem. Gallicanism is a nationalistic ecclesiastical movement. Yeah. It is believed the popular civil authority. So now, this is a nationalism, not rational. Nationalism started. It's aroused. Yeah. So now we, like a Catholic Church, has a power and authority, and now that the Protestants say that yes, the Bible has ultimate authority, but now the Gallicanism, these Gallicanist people say, I mean, the French people think that civil authority, people group has also power and authority. That's a reality, right? So these people are not supporting a Protestant and against the Catholic Church. That doesn't mean they support the Protestant also. Yeah, so that the in temporal matter, rulers are independent from authority of the church. The king must be completely independent from Roman Pope. And the spiritual matters, the authority of the people is subject to the authority of general council. Yeah, not by the Pope, but a general council. It's a meeting, group of the people make a decision. And the historic right and the also usages of French church cannot be countermanded even by Rome. And in the matters of the faith, judgment of the Pope must be ratified by a general council. So people, the group of the people, this council is above the Pope because the council elect a Pope. So Pope does not rule it, but a council is above that. So Pope, you must listen to us. And if you want to declare something, you must get ratified by our group first. Yeah, so it's weakened against the Pope's authority also. Jansenism, yeah, and Jansenism is a. We'll come back a little more, but if you read it, you understand that the moral determination. Yeah, the churches are corrupt, and then what is ethical matters, and especially the church, the French churches, and quietism. This quietism was a they listen to God, and you must give more effort to listen to God. So it's, if you do more, then it's kind of a Pelagianism also again, your effort. But an important thing is they start to develop how to pray deeper, prayer techniques. Now, you know, we you know, the prayer, right? The many different ways of prayer. Just to pray like this, but while you are praying, you must do this, or a deeper prayer, you listen to music or do something, whatever. So they develop this kind of, so yeah, how to get into the deeper prayer. They try to develop the methodologies, quietism. Yeah. And then later on also the Quaker also influenced by these people. And then they try to listen God. God speaks everything, even God speaks to the tree, God speaks to the wind, God speaks the sunshine. Yeah. Yeah. Chapter 13, Protestantism at the ages. As Protestantism grew in 16th century, Catholic, Lutheran, Reformed, and Church of England have a right to exist, but because of their radical and undermined the king's authority, Anabaptist was not. Yeah. Let's see. So what happened is that now the Pope is here. Now also Lutheran Church, Reformed Church, and then Calvinist Church. And how about the king? Now king is completely independent from Pope? Not necessarily. King, they are very smart, which is, you know, the king, they try to now that they look at the king's, the Pope side or the Protestant side, which one is more safe. So that sometimes king shifted to Pope or shifted to Reformed. So this is really sad. France, by the Edict of Nantes, was enjoyed their religious freedom because the king swindled from Protestant to Catholic for his safety. Yeah. England was relatively peaceful religiously. The Scottish was more to Protestantism, especially Reformed, Calvinistic because of Knox. But the Church of England, even though separated from the Roman Catholic, still most of the system was run by the Catholic ways. Yeah. Spain was deeply related to the Emperor of Charles' family. Spain was loyal to the emperor's ways. Also, Pope came out from Spain because of these reasons, even though Lutheranism entered in Spain in earlier time, but the mainly ignored. Spain still remained in Catholic. Now they still remain Catholic, right? Italy, also heavily influenced by the Vatican, the Protestantism has a little chance to win. There are some wildernesses and Alps mountain area, except Reformed and Lutheranism. Hungary was geographically easy to influence by the Lutheranism, but when they were under the Ottoman Islam, they closed and they chose the king from Habsburg, which is emperor's family. Even though they were under the Islam, they exercised Catholic religion in limited ways. Yeah. So still the Hungary was more Hungary and then also Bulgaria in these areas, still the Catholic. Poland was influenced by the Lutheranism in the beginning, but because of the bitter relationship with Germany, they accepted Lutheranism very slow. It was Calvinism which reformed Poland. Chapter 14, convulsed ages. When the Reformation started, there was a lot of hope. People expect the freedom, peace, and unity. However, the things did not go that way. Elsewhere, the wind of the Protestantism blew. There was a conflict with the Catholics. It affects each individual's life as well as the whole nation. Eventually, it shaped each nation's boundary of the Europe geographically, economics, culture, as well as the human right. So it accelerates the Renaissance and Enlightenment. Amen. Yeah. So that the European history is nothing but the church history, and because of the church conflict between Roman Catholic and the Protestantism and the king and the pope, so in the middle, the people got caught, and they finally started a Renaissance and Enlightenment, which tried to get out from the Christianity. Yeah. So if you have any question, please let me know. Otherwise, I have to do some more. Again, okay. We many parts of the our class note we covered already, right? So chapter 15, we covered that, the age of the dogma, and then so it's Catholic conflict with Luther and the conflict with England, and the 30 Years' War, and then we covered that. By the end of the war, the European boundaries geographically and politically and religiously, their boundary was almost formed, and the Church of a Desert in France, Henry IV died, and his 5-year-old son became a king. Then his mother, Mary Medici, connected to the Holy Roman Emperor to gain the power to control the nation. So especially that the weak kings, they try to use Pope's power to secure their position. But the French Huguenots opposed it. Now she arranged her son's marriage to Princess of Spain, and her daughter also married to the Prince of Spain to gain Spain's support. In order to do so, she persecuted the Protestant. Yeah. After the king's mother, Mary, died in 1642, the new king, now he became 23 years old man, started to rule the country. Now this new king oppressed the Protestant even more. They are by the Nantes, Edict of the Nantes. You must have it's a peace treaty, so you are not supposed to persecute the Protestant. But he tried. And 1685, he issued the Edict of Fontainebleau, which abolished the Edict of Nantes. In this result, many Protestant Franks left their nation to neighboring country. The time when Reformed Church religious practice were banned by the royal edicts is called the Desert Period. They had to be performed in secret. It is called a heroic because when discovered, such a practice was severely punished. Many of them were killed. Yeah. The secret reconstruction of the church started in Caverns in 1715 in an area devastated by the war of the Camisards. Yeah, French is very hard to pronounce. It was an uprising, the Protestant peasant known as Camisards in the seventh, I think that's pronounced as seventh to the Edict of the Fontainebleau. The Protestant abandoned rebellion in favor of secret meetings, also called the desert meetings. These had to be peaceful, supervised by the leaders and led by preachers or pastors authorized to preach. This reorganization of the church spread little by little in the south, then the west and the north. The church under the Louis XV saw alternate period of the calm and persecution. The situation varied according to the region and the personality of the intendant and their head. So from 1743, the meetings were increasingly held in broad daylight. Yeah. So if you read this, and then you'll understand how the Franks, it's a start with a Roman Catholic and then converted to be Protestant, and now go back to the Roman Catholic. And nowadays, I was told that less than 5% of the population in France were reformers. Majority is Roman Catholic, but the French people, they are not really dedicated religion. They are not really religious people as far as I'm concerned. Okay, I have 2 chats. Yeah. What significant problems were identified the church reforms in the Midwest? Yeah. Okay, Brother Moses, I will give my email address. Okay. Chapter 18, Puritan Revolution. We yeah, it's many parts already we covered, so I simply I'm gonna glance at quickly. Before we get into the King James, let's review some. Yeah, so we already talked about it, right? The England was ruled by the Tudor, right? And Henry was born in 1491 as the second son. His older brother is famous legendary King Arthur, right? Arthur had been betrothed since age of 2, and we covered these things. Yeah. And then now, yeah, so, you know, if you read it, you'll see the Henry was really, he has very beautiful life. He has so many women, but has really unhappy life. So after Mary died without child, Henry's second daughter from Anne Boleyn, the Elizabeth, she ruled. And then towards the end of her reign, now that the Puritan started. Puritan is against the not only Catholics, but also against the Church of England. Now the King James. King James is one of the most important but very obscure figures in England history, as well as say church history. Many people do not know about his personal life, but he is really a strange, sad creature, really. He was a homosexual, schizophrenia, and merciless dictator. That's a bad, bad king. And Queen Elizabeth first died in 1603 without heir. So they brought Mary Stuart of Scotland's son, James I, who was already the king of Scotland, to the England. In result, the Tudor dynasty ended in England, and the Stuart family ruled England as well as Scotland, right? So he tried to rule both England and Scotland peacefully. But the nation, they are not really, you know, it's both independent country at the time, but the same family. So he ruled both countries. However, he fought for his life to gain monarch kingship and weaken their parliament. what happened is, if he just ruled Scotland, probably he was happy with that. But when he come to England, already the Puritanism started, and then Parliament was kind of, is kind of have a lot of strengths, they have authority and power, and challenge kings already. But Scotland didn't have it. Only England has it already. And so that the King James tried to dissolve this parliament, and he tried to keep the monarch and the king of everything like that. So he has a hard time. In 1605, a descendant Catholic guy, Fox, tried to burn the parliament building with the king's family using 36 barrels of gunpowder. But it was discovered. Yeah. So think about it. Scotland already is influenced by the Calvinism. So James also kind of influenced by the Calvinism. And then now he come to England, and England is the Church of England, right? So it doesn't matter much about religion, but the Catholic guy tried to kill him, and he alerted that I'm going to get rid of the Catholics like that. King James wanted to restore the England monarchy, but the parliament opposed it severely. So he has a lifetime conflict with the parliament. Yeah. In religion, he faced not only the tension between Catholic and the Protestant, but also the Puritans. The Puritans are not belong to the Catholic, not belong to the Protestant, and not belong to the Church of England. They are profoundly influenced by the Reformers. Puritans are group wanted to purify the church. I talked to you before, and now that some of the Puritans are members of the parliament, kept on asking to purify the church. Not only the church, but also now the parliament is kind of the Congress nowadays, right? Some of the people separated from the Church of England and left the Netherlands to avoid the persecution. And the Baptists started first from there. Yeah. So that the leader was John Smith. And then in this group, they went there, and when they read the Bible, we must baptize by the water. So baptized by the water, and then Baptists actually started from there. But a majority stayed in the church and tried to keep them purified. So that this group, like Baptists, they call the separatist, because they separate from the church. But majority of people still, they stay in the church and try to purify the church. So they are called a Puritan. Yeah. And also they wanted to call not bishop, but the presbyters. The people group who left the church, is a Baptist already there. And one group called the particular Baptist. A Baptist also, to me, Baptist is most, what should I say, comprehensive denomination, because Baptist is the largest denomination, not because the doctrinally sounding, but always they argue each other, but still inclusive. That's why Baptist is the largest group of denomination. We don't call the denomination, it's convention. But anyway, so the Baptists, they separate by two theology. One is Calvinism, which is more likely depend on the predestination, and the other group called the Arminianism, influenced by the Dutch theologian, by the action, by the deed, we can earn our salvation. And these two groups fight each other. And then both of them collapsed. And then Spurgeon, Charles Spurgeon, he's a Baptist, actually come from the particular Baptist. He said, no, let's get it together. So he acknowledged that the predestination plus Arminianistic theology, the view. So they call the Baptist Union. In Baptist Union, both allow both. So still, the Baptist, inside the Baptist, there are two groups: the Calvinist view of predestination, and then Arminianistic view of the action and the deed. Yeah. And then about this time, Mennonite also started a practical practice their own belief. Mennonite actually they were inherited by that the Anabaptist, or we cover the Anabaptist, right? We have to re-baptize that, right? Okay, Brother Albert, do you have a question?
Yes, I have a question and maybe an observation as well.
Okay.
Yes, because okay, I see that the reformers, the Calvin and Luther, they wanted, maybe I would say they desired so much to bring reformation from within, but they were opposed, maybe for political reasons. And then I also see that maybe the Catholic Church basically wanted to preserve maybe what they believe or their doctrine, something like that. And if I'm to relate that to even the current church, we see that the church keeps on reforming and reforming. Sometimes even maybe non-essential issues where associations would actually maybe revise, but they become rigid, because I see there are several associations with the policies, not actually, even if a policy does not carry weight in terms of doctrine, but you see that there are at times some people are not willing and are not ready to change even where it is needed.
Yeah.
Can I say that maybe the same spirit keeps on evolving even today?
Yeah, but here at the time, the Church of England, well, they worship is like this way. They have two services in every Sunday, and everybody must come to the church. And in the morning, they have a worship, and then they have to give. It's like a tithe, but actually the concept of tax. So you come and then pay tax to the church, right? Yeah, because church was ruled by the bishops, and then also these bishops are under the king. And then second, the afternoon worship, they have the kind of like a judgment time. If anybody against the church or commit any kind of crimes, things, they judge it, punish it in the church. So the church was actually not only the worship place, but also it's like a court. And that's why that the people, the Puritans, think that this is not the church, this is not right. That's why they're against the church. Yeah. Okay, Brother David Kamara, you have a question?
Yes, Professor Kim. My question is about King James and the King James Bible. I've had several Christians who say that they favor this Bible so much, and if they don't preach or read from the King James, they feel like they have not read the Bible. Now, when we look at James, he later when the Bible was already. Now, what makes people think that the King James version is the version of the Bible they should read, given even the character of this king?
Yeah, that's a good question. At the time already, King James saw that, King James time, there are many different translation of the Bible. Already have a different version. Catholic has their own vision. Protestant have already a different vision. Lutherans have their own version, and then also Calvinists, they also have a different version, right? So it's messed up. So they fight each other, and then they have to, they agree that they must have one version. So they ask the king, we want to have a one version. So King James said, okay, I'll give you 3 years to complete it. So they start from the 1611 and they complete it in 1614. So they united each other. I mean, they with a lot of debate and things. Anyway, they make a one version. There's a King James version of the Bible. And then not just that is a deep meaning or something, but the King James version is very authoritative. And then also we found that some of them are not really the good translation. So later version is much better than King James version as far as the meaning is concerned. Yeah. So, but still, some people, especially in America, that the elderly people, like some people who are older than 80 or 90 people, they think that only King James version is the Bible because it's very authoritative, and then because they also started their church life with that version, but. According to, I mean, in my opinion, the meaning is not really conveyed accurately. Yeah. Okay. Pastor Patrick, you have a question?
Yes. Pastor Kim, I want to know more about this King James Bible since our brother already raised the question. Because that is the proof again that politician or politics, which is the king, who helped to make one version of the Bible at that time instead of, people fighting which Bible is the correct one, right? Because the politics work together with the religion, right? So then make sure that there is like really a good version of the Bible at that time. So then I think religion and politics should work together like that, because otherwise people are start fighting. There is no authority to choose which one is the supreme Bible at that time, right?
Yeah, but by that time, the king has a right and king has the authority, so that they need the king's approval, but now it's not. So yeah, at that time, at that particular time, I don't know whether James was really interested in they have a one version or not. I don't know that whether he's really interested in the religious theology, but the only thing was that he tried to keep his power and authority. Yeah, and then the King James is why King James is so important is not because he is a very capable king, but because during his reign, a lot of things happened. Like colony in America was started during his reign. And then also that like a stock concept comes. And anyway, we'll get there, okay? Yeah. Let me finish it in a few minutes, okay? Because already we are like 9:20. Let me go there a few more minutes, right? So the Mennonites, they are inherited by that this Anabaptist, and they do not practice the politics and reject the civilization. because they hated it at the politics, because politics blowing there all the time, they're fighting. So here in America, still many of them still live in rural places in Pennsylvania, or Ohio State, and Northern Indiana, and then Kentucky State, and they don't participate, they don't vote. And then also some of them still, they live without electricity. It's horrible, but I don't know. Still, they practice that. However, James tried to allow religious tolerance except Anabaptists who emphasize the equality in God. You know, Anabaptists not only re-baptized, but also look the Bible. King or me, same in God's eyes. Everybody's equal. This is a really very, very fascinating at the time, that the concept. Man and woman, and then young and old are the same in God. Against the Jewish culture also. Jewish culture, they ignore that the young children and the woman, even they don't count. But here, Anabaptists said, no, everybody's equal. That's what Jesus wants, and Jesus taught us, right? And James believed that this doctrine threatened and weakened his authority. That's why he hated it. Not because of Bible, and by the theology, but on the most significant achievements of James is a translation, the Bible. We talked about it, yeah. So in his late age, James tried to get support from Spain and tried to get the princess from Spain as his son Charles' wife. But the parliament, especially the Puritans in parliament, opposed severely, so he could not do it. So what happened is that now James, he want to have more power and authority over the church, or and he tried to make a monarchy, but he doesn't have that much power by himself in England. So he want to get the Pope's power. It's horrible, right? So he tried to make England as a Roman Catholic Church. Of course, that the Puritans, they're against it, so he couldn't do it. Yeah. So if you okay.